Well, I'll tell you what. Folks. Hi, Jungle Jim Jerome coming out with an episode of Inside Curling. Going fast, okay, going fast. Sometimes you wake up. Sometimes you had a little nap. I wake up, Kev. I roll my phone over, and I get a text, from, we're on a group text, you and I and the producer, Mike. I'm going, oh, yeah, there's a text. I said, this is how I ran, Kevin. I ran to set up my laptop when I read the text going, are you guys going to talk about Mark Kennedy telling someone to F off? I said, here we go, baby. My good buddy Kevin Martino is walking like the Walking Dead, the hours you're trying to keep to do all this. But that seems to be the couple of stories, Kev, you always have. We're going to break it down for you as we do each and every day at the end of the play at the games. And today's no exception, of course. And I guess that's the big story, Kevin. I didn't look anymore. I didn't look into it further. I said, Kev will know all about it. Yeah. So that and a couple other things. Kev.
There's two really, really, really big stories, actually. But let's talk about Marc first.
What happens?
Yeah, Oscar Eriksson, and Marc got into it a bit. Oscar was talking about Mark Kennedy double touching the rock. So touching it after release past the hog line. And anyway, and so, of course, Marc did not take that well. So he got into a big argument, and, of course, Marc told him where to go.
Where to go? Okay. Yeah,
and if Oscar, defending Oscar here, like, it was funny. I got, there's all kinds of stuff over social media, and
right.
I would have swept. Now, Marc has changed his delivery since he played with me, though. His release has changed as to how he holds the rock and how he releases it and doing it with the left hand. So it could be different, but I would have swept thousands and thousands of Marc's rocks, and that was double touching wasn't a thing. How he did it back for many years with me, but that's not saying it's not possible that it could have occurred, because when you release a stone, like I release it traditionally, and you drop your hand, you could hit the back of the rock. There's no question it could happen.
Right.
But anyway, so, and if Oscar does honestly believe that it happened, I think that's really important. He can go to the official. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's best to toe-to-toe.
Right. With Team
Scrap out on the ice, that's not going to solve anything. But getting the official involved is the proper thing to do.
Right.
And then they stand out there, they watch. And if the officials, because they're the ones that make the decision on rules, if they decide yes it is or no it's not, it'll be handled properly, and that's the way to do it.
Right.
Having the old toe to toe on the ice,
right?
And I think now, and of course, it continued on after the game in the back with the media and everything else. So.
Like between the two of them, it carried on in the back, or just in an interview?
Well, and with the media interviews and so on. And it continued on. So in both cases, it could have been handled better.
Right.
I think. Mark Kennedy shouldn't have really told him to F off on the ice on the hot mic.
Right.
That's not good.
Right.
But for Sweden too, at 0-2 and in trouble for losing that game, like they were behind.
Yeah.
That's not the right time to do it either. Because if you're losing and you do something, it's not very effective. If you're winning and you do something, it's more effective.
Right.
So both of them didn't handle the thing exactly properly. But there's a video that went on social, and I must have watched it, I don't know, 30 times.
Right.
Certainly more than 20 times. And watching it. Because Marc drops his hand down and follows the rock with his middle finger.
And follows the rock? Yeah.
Well, he always follows the rock.
Yeah.
He slides a million miles. But
right.
But boy, it's hard to see if any piece of that finger actually touches that rock or not. And in the video I saw. Now, you know what I mean? Like, it's a horrible situation, and you don't want this type of thing in your sport. You know what I mean? An argument and a fight with two of the very best curlers ever to play the game.
Right.
So it's unfortunate, but we had to talk about it because Marc doesn't lose his temper very often, and Oscar is a true gentleman on the ice. So So those are the weird. Those are the strangest two. To see a big blow up out on the ice.
Sure. So a couple things, Kev. Just to clarify, I get if like when they say Marc double touches the rock, is the second time he touches the rock over the hog line, is it affecting the speed of the rock? Like I'm gathering if he only touches it with his middle finger, it's not pushing the rock harder than it would have if he released before the hog line.
I tried to see, like I really slowed everything down, and I tried to see if I could see it was touching, and I just couldn't on the video that I had, unfortunately. And I really tried my best to see, and to see if there's any alteration to the line or the speed of the rock, and I just couldn't tell. So it'll be interesting to see if there's like better video or more videos, because that's important. You don't want to see something that isn't proper. But they had officials on it, so I'm sure right now it's being discussed in behind the scenes. Of course, we don't know that, but it's important stuff. What two of the very best in the game are having it out on the ice. The sport doesn't want to see that.
Right. The obvious would be, Kev, that the pressure in the Olympics, as you said, quite clear, it's the pinnacle, hands down, bigger than winning the world championship to win the Olympic gold. The pressure would have something to do with that, Kev, a little bit. We're under the gun. And the other half of that.
Well, in both cases, Jim, so you got a team that's struggling. Team Sweden.
Right.
They were behind, you lose that game against Canada. We talked about it on the last show, that 7-2 is the goal.
Right.
6-3, you could still get in, but you're cliff-hanging. You cannot lose another game. So now, with Sweden losing that game, they're already at 0-3. They need to run the table.
Right.
That's hard. This is a tough field, tough teams.
Right.
So I can see Oscar being upset and just grumpy and, all that.
Right.
Marc Kennedy's been playing as long as Oscar Eriksson, if not longer.
Right.
So at the highest level, they're both the best in the business. Mm-hmm. So somebody says something to Marc Kennedy, he's going to defend himself.
Right. Right.
For sure. He's not going to take it. And he didn't take it. So, but you got a grumpy Oscar struggling as a team, and you got Marc who's not going to take any of that. So it just didn't. That wasn't the right way to solve the problem.
And Marc, we've had Marc on a bunch of times. I mean, he is the most wonderful guy in the world, and a huge, I've asked him questions about growing the game and all that stuff. He's a huge supporter of growing the game. And not
he runs
just talk
a
about
huge junior event in St. Albert. He took over the junior event I ran for, whatever I ran it, 17 years, I guess. And then when I was done, he took it over, and he's been running it. I think the last year I ran it was 2013. Now, and Marc took it over, and it's a tremendous event. So he's done a ton for junior curling in the Edmonton area. So all that is good, and Oscar's great too. So it's just two of the best, and that's why it's a big story, Jim. Well, you got two of the best in the business, and they're out there toe to toe, which is a real shocker because they're both really super nice guys. But it's a true sport. You're playing at the very highest level, and Oscar, obviously, he wouldn't make it up. He wouldn't.
Okay,
he's first class. So he saw something that he didn't like, and brought it to the officials and to Marc, and Marc didn't appreciate it, and that's sport. You know what I mean? So you get a guy cross-checking out front of the net too much, and what do you do if the guy keeps doing it and the ref's not calling it?
Right.
You punch him.
Right.
That's what you do.
Right.
And that's sport. And then the officials will deal with it in a proper manner, and then you keep playing. The puck gets dropped, and you carry on, and whoever gets the most goals wins the game. But the officials, it's important to have really good officiating, and in this case, they do.
Well, there's two or three things here. One is if I did look at the text when I woke up from my nap and it said Ben Hebert told the guy to F off, I'd be like, of course he did. Okay, let's see what that is.
Did he mean it or not? He probably just said it.
Of course he did. The other one is in golf as well. If you know anything about golf, you're not allowed to ground your club. You're not allowed to in a bunker, in a sand trap, and it happens from time to time. And from time to time, a player will tell the guy, hey, you grounded your club there, or you hit sand when you're taking it back. And golf has the luxury, which they do right away, is go, no problem, no argument. Let's look at the tape. Let's look at the tape.
Just look at the tape.
Right. And they look at it. So what do you do is in golf, it's not bad. They look at it while you're playing. It happened to Dustin Johnson in a big event in a major. And when they discuss it, the officials see it, and they go, yes, we got to call a penalty. They waited till like 2 holes later, but that's all they could do, and went up to him and said, look, there's 2-shot penalty, and he was like, what? Well, that's the only way they can do it. But at least they use reviews, so curling's going to have to look at something like that. But what do you do? What do you do, Kevin, if do you stop the game? Do you, or if they go, okay, we'll look at it while they're playing, and then it takes a whole end, or it takes another 15 or 20 minutes to get second opinions and third and fourth and say, make sure. And then we go, okay, he touched the rock. Well, now what do you do? Now what do you do? What would happen, Kev, if it...
Oh, well, no, nothing. It would have to be discussed during the game. Oscar brought it to their attention. Okay. And the officials watched and then continued the game.
Right.
So now between games, there'll be no doubt officials will talk to both teams involved and come to a consensus, whatever happens. And hopefully everybody will find out tomorrow how that all transpired. But for now, it's certainly something that needed to be talked about and interesting. Especially the two guys involved. That's the fascinating part for me.
Right.
I know those guys really well, both of them.
Right.
And they're both first class, and it's a battle. It's fun.
How does it? I would think the scenario might be, Kev, if this happened to you, if I'm Oscar, well, then I'm gonna maybe go, hey, Nick. Okay, Nick. He's double touching the rock. He's double touching the rock, right? So you ask him on the side, and then the skip says, yeah, forget about it, man. Don't worry. He's fucking with Marc Kennedy. Oops, excuse my language. We're not. I'm going on Marc Kennedy.
Yeah, you're not the only. Yeah, Marc Kennedy's not the only guy.
How would you do it, Kevin? Might you say, look, don't worry about it, man. Forget it. It's not affecting the rock or whatever. Does Oscar go to the official? How did it all break down?
Got to go to the official for sure. That's the proper way to do it.
Did he do that right away?
But it's a bit of a touchy issue because in both cases, Oscar Eriksson would have played 1 million games, on television and with replays and at the highest level.
Right.
Marc Kennedy has played the same amount of games as Oscar, 1 million.
Right.
It's just, and neither have ever been called on anything. So to kind of bring it up all of a sudden as if Mark's doing something different, which he may or may not be, I'm not sure. I'd love to see a video that was more conclusive, but than the one I saw on social, that was not good enough.
Right.
But one thing about it, at the Olympics, there's a lot of cameras around.
Right.
They can deal with it, and then we'll find out how it's dealt with tomorrow. But the funny part, for me, is you got Marc Kennedy and Oscar Eriksson battling out on the ice, and continued to battle in the media zone.
Well, the interesting thing will be, Kevin, who will be looking at tape all night is Marc Kennedy. Right, he's gonna, and it'll be totally interesting if you get the 70,000 different angles on it. There's 1 million cameras. If someone has a very telling one that he did touch it, what does Kennedy do? Going, Jesus, I did.
Probably walk up to Oscar and shake his hand and say, "Sorry, man," and it won't happen again.
Now, at what point in the game did it happen?
I swept thousands of Marc's rocks over the years.
Right,
but he has changed his grip. So he used to throw from the back of the handle, famous back of the handle.
Right.
Now kind of throws from more of the center of it. So it's definitely a kind of a reverse grip that he uses now. And it doesn't make a lot of sense.
I would think, Kevin, that Marc being Marc Kennedy, like in golf, to use the reference, lots of times, by the way, what will happen is the guy will call himself. He'll address the ball and say the ball moved. He'll be the guy who does it, right? I would think Marc Kennedy, if he thought for 1 second he was doing that, he'd call himself. He was
definitely arguing that he didn't. So
he'd call himself. He would. He's a very honorable guy, and he would. I would guess. What point in the game was it, Kevin? What was the score? What end was it? When did it all?
Everything boiled over in 9.
Okay. What was the score at that point? What was?
So 8-6 final score, but it was at the time Canada had just got 4, and actually Sweden got 2 back in 9.
Okay.
Yeah, to go one down going home without it, and
Okay.
Canada got one going home. But so that was how it all transpired.
Now, is there any thought before we leave this, Kev? My final question to you: is there any thought that Sweden says, "Why don't we throw a little gamesmanship in here and give them a hard time?" like, you know, how else are we going to beat? How else are we going to beat
now,
these
that's
guys?
That's something I do, but I don't know if that's what Oscar would do. But
Yeah.
that's something. That's
Something I do.
gamesmanship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Anyway,
Fun and games. Good
yeah,
stuff.
If,
Good stuff.
If Sweden happens to crawl back somehow and get in the playoffs and face Canada, there'll be a lot of viewers tuning in, Kevin.
And Sweden's not out of it. Let me just clear. Let me be very, very
You're going to do
clear.
your breakdown here in a second, too. Of
At
that.
0-3, they are not out of it. Sweden, I'll tell you what, Sweden, Jim, is not out of it. They're 0-3, but they have played Retornaz,
Yes.
one of the favorites.
Yes.
They've played Bruce Mowat,
Yes.
and they've played Canada.
Okay. Yeah.
So three of the absolute favorites, they're done with. They don't have to worry about them anymore. So Nicodine and company, they are not out of it. They're 0-3, but 6-3 has a chance of being in the playoffs.
Okay.
They probably would be in some sort of a playoff. So no, it's not done. And you're mentioning if Sweden hangs in there and then has to play Canada again, ratings might go through the roof. Yes, they would.
Right. Let's leave the other big story till the end, Kev. You're talking about the men's, so let's break down the round robin for the men's.
So Switzerland, they are at 3-0, doing great, playing terrific.
Yep.
Their next three games, Jim, Canada,
Yeah.
Great Britain. So Jacobs, Mowat,
Yeah.
Nicodine. How's that? So
Okay.
anyway, but for now,
we're going good. They're going good.
They're going great.
They gotta
3-0.
play their ass off to keep her going. Yeah.
And you've got Canada 3-0.
Yep.
They play Switzerland, obviously. I just said that.
Yep.
And now you've got Great Britain. Their next game's against the Czechs at
Yep.
2-1. They dropped a game, but they're at 2-1.
Yeah. They lost to Italy, right? Great Britain.
Lost to Italy. You got it. Germany. I told you these guys are good.
Yes, you did.
And now
yes, you did.
They're 2-1, and they play the U.S. We're calling that game tomorrow.
Okay.
They're playing the U.S. So that's a big one.
U.S. is where, Kevin? What do they stand?
U.S. They are standing at 1-2, so they need a win. They need a win. They're not playing good enough right now. Like they played so good in the Olympic qualifier, the Olympic trials, against Schuster. They're not playing at that level right now, but they're capable. So we'll see how they do. And Italy, they've got Norway, and they're sitting at 2-1. So they've played a lot of the top teams too.
Okay.
Italy are in good shape because of who they've played.
Right.
Norway, they've got Italy next at 2-1. So this is a real mishmash of the best teams.
Yes.
And then you've got USA, of course, I just mentioned playing Germany. China, the Czechs, and Sweden without any wins.
Yep.
But they're all three of them are 0-3, but do not count out Nicodine.
Okay. So give us the quick rundown, Kev. Top 9 teams, records from 1st to 9th, or 1st to 10th. Yeah.
So 3-0, Swiss, Canada.
Yep.
2-1, Mowat, so Great Britain.
Yep.
Germany, Italy, Norway.
Okay.
USA
Logjam.
alone at 1-2. And then China, Czechs, Sweden, all at 0-3. That's all your teams. That's where it's at. Switzerland's playing great, but they have the next 3 wicked games ahead of them.
Right.
They could be 3-3 in a heartbeat.
Right. Top 4 teams go through, so you've got the 2 at 3-0, and then you got a logjam at 2-1. So we got a battle.
And they're sort of all playing each other.
right. Right.
So by tomorrow night.
Too early here to tell what's going on.
No, it'll be great to give everybody an update, and we'll be updating, of course, on the Oscar Kennedy saga tomorrow. So stay tuned. We'll definitely be covering that as well.
Yeah, our executive producer, Amal, who's the guy behind this show and boosting it, has said, Jimmy, keep these updates to 20 minutes. I've just texted Amal, said, you can't expect me to keep something to 20 minutes when someone tells someone to F off. Okay, it's not going to happen, Amal. I'm so sorry. Okay, you're talking to me, pal, who's been in more trouble in broadcasting than anybody in the world. So anyway, the other big story, Kev, is we're going to break down the women's. Let us have it, man.
Oh boy, so that was huge. So I got back here at I remember I caught a 1 a.m. bus or whatever, and I got up at midnight last night. So I was at the studio all night, and then I got back to the room here around 7:30 this morning, 8 o'clock this morning.
Night
so
shift.
I crashed for a bit, and that's
course.
when Canadian women, Rachel Homan, were playing against Tab Peterson, U.S. women. But I was sleeping. I get up. My phone is erupting.
Oh,
I
no.
go, what the heck's going on?
Right.
So I read all the text. U.S. one down going home in the 10th end against Homan, against Canada. Got a deuce. U.S. first time, I'm telling the truth, Jimmy, first time beat Team Canada women at the Olympics, which now let's cover this a little bit. So you got U.S. now is at 2-1. But like the fact of talking about all these different teams, and Italy's at 2-1 in the men's, but look at who they've played. South Korea, Team Gim, one of the favorites to get on the podium. They've played Sweden, the Borg, one of the favorites, and they've played Canada. So they've already played those three powerhouses, and they're at 2-1.
And they come away 2-1. Okay.
So all of a sudden, remember at the start, I was talking about Tabitha Peterson being kind of a team on the bubble to make the playoffs or not.
Yeah.
That win, that could be the win that gets them in.
No kidding.
Because they're going to be close. They're close. And now they've beaten both Gim and Canada. So that's awesome for USA. They're rolling. Now, Sweden, undefeated. They're the only 3-0 team.
Mm-hmm.
They play Italy next. Constantini. And they're not going real well. They're
What's
at
Italy
0-2, so they're at 0-2. So they're struggling. So
Yep.
Sweden will likely win that game. You've got Swiss, of course, they're at 2-0. And they play Japan next, Yoshimura, and they're good. But then they play Canada. So that's the one you circle. Saturday evening, Canada plays Switzerland in the women's. That's the big battle between those guys. South Korea, 2-1. They play Denmark next. So South Korea would be a favorite there. Don't count out DuPont, though. They're good.
Right.
But that's who they play. USA plays Japan. So that's a tough game. But after coming off the win against Canada, USA should be, feeling pretty confident.
No kidding. Yeah.
China at 1-1, along with Canada. So Canada's at 1-1, and they play Great Britain next, along with China at 1-1. And then you got Denmark. Of course, I just said that they play South Korea. The three teams without a win: Great Britain, Italy, Japan.
Okay. So don't panic here, folks. Homan, 1-1, tons of games left. They got seven games to go. Right.
I don't think the story is Rachel. I don't think that's a story. Like you're going to lose some games.
Not at this point. Not at this point of the round robin.
No, you lost a game. No big deal. She had a double to win in the last end, a straight double, 8 foot to 8 foot, quite makeable. She'd missed 3 doubles prior in the game, so just had one of those games where just couldn't make the big shot, and that's not what you say about Rachel Homan very often.
Right.
So no big deal. Lost a game. It is a big deal for the U.S. though because of who they've played already.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? It's more of a big deal.
They've been through the tough. They've been through the grind.
Yeah, it's a bigger story for Team USA, a lesser story, but still a story for Canada because they actually lost a game, which doesn't happen very often.
Right. Kev, the one thing we do know about sport, it doesn't happen as often in curling as other sports because the cream seems to rise to the top all the time in curling. However, there's always upsets. There's always stories that come way out of left field that we're going, wait a minute here, what happened? What happened? As you say, maybe the story isn't Rachel. It's too early. But talk about a confidence builder for U.S. and who they've beaten. And they come through those 3 teams at 2-1. It always happens. So, or not so much upsets, but a story where someone comes from deep in the weeds, who's maybe, you would never pick them. You never picked U.S., Kevin, I don't think, to make the playoffs in the women's side.
Well, they were, I remember that they were one of the teams. I had Canada, Switzerland,
Yeah.
And then remember, you were laughing because I had 5 teams fighting for that third
Okay.
and fourth spot.
Yeah.
And U.S. was one of them.
Okay, they were.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But because they're good. But it's just, but to beat Canada after already playing Sweden and South Korea, like all of a sudden, like they're the talk of the town here.
Yeah. So there you go, folks. There's our update. A couple of great stories. How did Shusty do in the booth? Were you in the booth with him last night? Yeah. How was he?
Sorry, everybody. Yeah. I announced it yesterday. Yes. So we did the booth together.
Yeah.
And John and I have been really good friends for, I don't know, many years.
Right.
And to be able to do the show together, we were both pretty excited. And actually, the producer, CJ, after, of course, we were talking like crazy about all kinds of strategy and just loving it. At one point, I pulled my chair back even a little bit, and we were like, talking straight across to each other.
Sure.
And CJ, we're really enjoying your discussion on strategy, but just so we understand what you're talking about, you might want to put something on the telestrator.
Yeah.
We were enjoying each other's company so much.
Yeah. Feel my pain. Feel my pain when you break a game down. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna.
Oh, it was so good. So yeah, I had to smarten up and get back on the telestrator. So anyway, it looks like they're trying to schedule one more game where we're together in the booth again.
Oh, good.
So I sure hope that happens. It's not confirmed yet, so I can't say when and stuff because it's not confirmed.
Right.
But they're trying hard to make it happen, and it was really good. We enjoyed it, and we heard from a lot of people. I've already heard from a lot of people that they really enjoyed it. So, John's a really nice person and obviously smart. He'd been 5 Olympics, I think. Olympic
right.
gold medalist. So.
Right.
Really good skip, and so him and I get along great. And we went in the weeds pretty good with some strategy talks, though. And,
Deep dive,
yeah,
baby.
So it was really fun. But thanks for asking, Jimmy, because, I wanted to make sure we talked about that. And I'm not sure which day we'll hopefully be able to do it again, but we'll let everybody know when that time comes.
Super cool. So each and every night we do it, break it down for you. Kev, great job, great stories. U.S., of course, is a big one. We'll see what happens with Marc Kennedy losing his mind, I guess, a little bit. And the other thing is we are the official podcast of World Curling. Thank you to them. Go to their website. They break down a lot. They break down a lot, and everything we've talked about today, you can see it there. It's terrific. It's a terrific site, World Curling. Thank you to them for helping us out, and we appreciate all you guys listening. And
Jimmy, somebody had a good poke at you today on social media, and I laughed like crazy.
What?
You said, because you brought up the beautiful website stuff, and that was all good. And somebody said, Jim's been doing the podcast for 6 years, and he's finally found the World Curling website.
I know. I'm like, well, and I used to give guys advice, if you can believe it, advice from me when I did a radio show, going, look, read an article or two, find something right before you get on there. And the other thing, I think I was all impressed with myself. 6 years in, I was all impressed with myself that I was breaking a game down with I think Rachel or someone, and I think I had it wrong. I think I was like, Kev, allow me to do this, Kev. It was in the 5th end. I look back after. I think it was in the 7th, or I said the 7th. I think it was in the 5th. So that'll get everyone else going to World Curling to say, okay, it's Jerome, okay, who's breaking it down. So so they'll have to check it out. So good job, Kev. Way to go, man. Keep her going, buddy. Keep her going, and good luck.
Oh, and on the gold line front.
Yes,
so,
my friend.
Talking to Andrew Brett again yesterday, and when I get back, Andrew's coming to Edmonton, and I get to see the new products for next year. So that's always exciting.
To give to Jimmy. Yeah.
Yeah. See what we're gonna give to Jimmy for the stick event at the showdown at the Salvo.
Beautiful. Yeah, coming up. Go give the website, Kev.
Yeah, Salvo. Salvocurling.ca, and that's for the showdown at the Salvo, presented by Volvo Cars Edmonton.
Yeah.
And of course, the last event being the Booster Juice World Junior Mixed Doubles Curling Championship with World Curling, and that's very, very exciting for all of us involved.
Super exciting. You started it last year for the first time, and it is here to stay, baby. It is here to stay.
Yeah,
and,
it went really well last year. Yeah,
So check that out. A bunch of other.
there's more teams this year than last year in the World Junior Mixed Doubles. So I know Brewster Juice is happy. I talked to them about it. Volvo is really excited as well. So it's going good.
Yeah, right on. And that all happens to start in March.
April 17th is the start of the stuff.
Oh, right. Okay, sorry.
And then it
Mark.
ends. It goes all the way almost to the middle of May, Jim.
Right.
May 10th, it's done. So it's a month straight of curling at the Salvo Sports Center. It's exciting.
See, once again, my update was what's the expression? Wrong.
Well, Jim, we did a heck of a job. We kept it at 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So this is great.
Yeah.
We started at 6 and now it's 6:42. So we're right on
there
schedule.
we go. Yeah, it's all done. It's all wrapped up there. Okay, almost. So.
Hey, Mike Mason, just trim that baby up to the right length and we're good.